this. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Hi, ladies. So I'm Steph Gass. Brooke and I have a very long history together. I've been her business coach, off and on, and a mentor of Brooke's for years now. And I've helped Brooke. I remember our very first coaching call. She had two tiny babies. She was trying to meet with me in the living room while her children were going nuts behind her, going, "I'm trying to have an online business." And I'm just like, "It's okay, girl." And I just remember like this conversation with her going like, oh, she has everything inside of her, like to have a successful online business. But I knew that Brooke had a really long growth process ahead of her, and she's done it. And so what's so cool is watching Brooke go from, full-time photographer with the babies, really exchanging time for money in a big way. And you guys know this, right? To having a flourishing, very profitable. Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
Welcome. We just got started. You're good. Welcome in.
Thank you.
So watching Brooke transition that really, exhausting business model into a almost fully passive. She keeps photography, as you guys know, because it lights her up and it's fun for her, but she doesn't have to anymore. And so the way that we did that was helping Brooke find her niche and find her way, and then start the podcast, which she's now had for a long time. And it's very successful. It's a top ranked podcast, and then monetize it with coaching and courses. Right. And so that is what I teach. So showing you guys that this model works for all of you as photographers. And so what I do is I help women get super clear on what their niche, their calling is, so that they can monetize it, but do it in a way where it's around your life, it's around your family. You'll learn very shortly, if you guys have not familiar with me yet, I really despise social media. It was a huge addiction in my life. Instagram was stealing from my time with my boys. It was stealing from my mental health. And I continued to be obsessed with it. And so one day, and I'm very faith forward, God kept convicting me to lay down Instagram. And I don't know why I'm going on this tangent, but here we go. But anyways, I was like, no, Lord, I can't do that. Like, I'm not going to have a successful online business without Instagram. And he said, I said, lay it down. Right. And so I got off of Instagram. I started on the weekends, probably 4 years ago, and I would delete the apps. And I felt so free. Like my life felt so different. I could see more clearly. I was really in tune with my kids. I was a better wife. I was more at peace. And I found all these hours of time. And so then that went on for a few years. And then I felt the conviction again to do longer. So I got off of Instagram for 6 weeks and I tested it. And so I have a $1 million business, which is crazy to say that out loud. And a podcast that's a top 0.5% podcast in the world for women who want to start an online business, right? And I have courses, and I do a big mastermind program, and I do coaching as well, which I'm phasing out of. But I was also thinking that I had to have Instagram, and that must have been a reason for some of this success, right? And so we were getting, 750 likes on posts. I had, 400 to 600 views in the stories. And so I thought this was such a critical component to success. Yet my whole thing has been like, how do I build this business God's way? I had been so obsessed with success and having achievement in my prior business 10 years ago, and I had been freed of that. But yet Instagram was starting to feel that way again in my life, right? And so after 6 weeks, I took a look at what the numbers did from day one in my business to the 6-week mark. Revenue went up, podcast downloads went up, email list subscribers, everything went up. But guess what happened to Instagram? Do you guys have any guesses? Get in the chat. Let's have some fun today. What do you guys think happened to Instagram in 6 weeks? Just 6 weeks. Completely died. Completely died. I had 30 likes on a post. I had not even 56 looks in the stories. And that was like earth shattering to me. This is not sustainable. The second I get off of here, it's completely gone. I have to show up 24/7 in order for the algorithm to keep showing me to people, right? This is not sustainable. So what it's doing is perpetuating my addiction to this app. and I'm done with it. And so that was the day that I decided that I was not going back to Instagram ever again from a personal standpoint, which is so freaking liberating. Now, granted, I do have a team, okay, and I was a solopreneur for a long time, and now I have a team, and you guys will, if you have a team, amazing, and if not, you'll get there. But the team now, for 10 minutes a week, goes and posts my latest podcast episode on Instagram. This is the only thing we share. Okay. So I show up in my business 26 to 32 hours a week, and I'm able to have $1 million business. And guess how long I've been doing this with intention? 3.5 years. That's so insane to me. And this is not by my own strength, believe me, right? I truly know that God asked me to start a podcast in 2018. I had a dream, start a podcast, and I did through obedience, even though I had no idea how to do it. And I just started talking, started showing up. I was sick of live video. I was sick of the social hustle. And my kids would always come in and talk about fruit snacks and poop. And I'm like, there has got to be a better way. I am so done with this. God, what am I supposed to do here to build this business online? And heard start a podcast. So in 2018, I did do that, and it just exploded. And it's been so cool to see that you can use your voice to build a scalable business from behind a mic without having to put on makeup, be fancy, but connect with people audibly, and then close the gap in the amount of time you're showing up in your work every single week, right? You guys are trying to move to passive. You're trying to get out of the grind and hustle of showing up and working with people 24/7. Podcasting is my favorite way on planet Earth to do that. So that was kind of just like don't know what that was, Brooke, but what questions does that bring up for you, Brooke, that you want me to go in the direction of kind of showing them? And then I think we could do some live examples. That's really powerful for you guys to hear how that can look for each of you.
Yeah. So the first thing is, when people hear your story, I know for me, for a long time, I was like, well, that's good for her,
Right.
But I have a completely different business. And so anyway, so this is like a line of encouragement here. I will tell you, like, that was definitely God ordained, because I'm still wrestling with the whole social media struggle. I've definitely been showing up less. And because of that, it's dying. Like, it's crazy. And so, which I let Instagram go a long time ago, and I just show up as I please in my stories. And what's cool about that is I'm more focused on my DMs and where those conversations are going. And I don't really care about the rest, right? Like, I'm using it as a way to stay in contact with those who are already in my market, right? Like, that's my intention. So the question I get all the time is, can photographers truly let Instagram go because we are so visual, we are getting clients? Or that's question number one. Or how can we simplify the way we're showing up on Instagram to where we can be less of us and more of this freedom that you're talking about?
Yeah. And I think that this journey is really different for each person. And I would begin with the question of, what does Instagram look like in your life today? And what do you want it to look like in your life? And this goes for the same for each of your businesses, right? Every time I make a decision in my business, I ask myself, is this something I want to scale and something I want to do more of a year from now? If that answer is no, then I'm focusing on the wrong thing, right? And the truth is, yes, you guys are a visual platform. You are photographers, but that doesn't mean that you have to be doing it yourself. Number one, I had free interns. I have free interns working in my business that they post our episodes on Instagram for me. So you can do that. I traded a lot of the labor that I had in my business at first were trades. I would trade coaching for this or trade photography for that. I didn't do that, but you guys could, right? So you could get help if you're like, ugh, this is such a trigger for me. I hate Instagram. I find myself in the black hole in here for hours. You need to get out and you need to have someone else do that. Now, do you have to have it? No, you don't have to have anything. You don't have to do or have anything. That's the truth. And I've proven that. You do have to choose your platform though. So, I love Pinterest. Pinterest is still a visual platform, a visual search engine where you guys could be putting your photography there. You obviously need to have a website where people can go, right? They're going to need to find you somewhere. So that the question is, where's your platform where people find you? And then where can they go to see your work? Now, you don't need to have it on Instagram. And I don't actually think that's the best place to have it. The best place is probably your own website, right? Or wherever you guys showcase those photos. So I started with a slow transition out because just like with, let's say that you guys are like, I'm going to change my body. Is it better to do an overnight diet and then fail? Or is it better to be like, let's start with vegetables. I'm just going to add another serving of vegetables. Like that is usually the best way to make any major transition in your life, is to ease into it. And so I started with weekends. I'm like, I'm just going to delete the app on weekends. That felt like, okay, I can do this. And then I started deleting it in the evenings, literally deleting it from my phone, because if you guys just hide it, you know where to find it. Those little time thingies don't work, do they? You're like, it's fine, just ignore that for today. Like you have to delete it. And now you've created a barrier of entry for yourself. The other thing that's super cool, guys, is if you delete Instagram from your phone, you can now actually post from the whatever metaverse weird thingy from your computer. So you don't ever have to have it on your phone again. And you could still intentionally show up on Instagram, let's say 30 minutes a week from a desktop. That gives yourself some boundaries around the way that you're showing up, if that helps any of you get started with that.
Yeah. So I think the main transition, and this, I promise we're getting to podcasting, but I think it's important to start here, because I don't know if y'all agree. Y'all can type yes or no in the chat, but I no longer want social media to feel like a foundation for me. I want it to be supplemental. That's the transition I'm going through. That's why I'm canceling my Marketing Academy membership. I'm done talking about that. Like, I want to teach you guys how to do what Steph's about to walk you through, which is like, let's pick a long form content, which last time we talked about YouTube, and that's a great option if that's the way you want to go. But also podcasting is another great option, and something that I think would really help you all go further. And so that's what I chose. And what's so cool about that is that's what I'm married to. I love that analogy. What are you going to marry and stick with and be consistent with, that you're not like, I don't think I've ever felt burnt out of podcasting. And now I might have gotten stuck on, I don't know what to say in 3 months from now, because I feel like I've said it all, but then now I'm in this new season and I'm like, we barely scratched the surface, right? So podcasting for me is that. I know a lot of you expressed you have interest in starting a podcast, or you would rather start on a podcast, move to YouTube later. So that's where we're at. I think we all agree with, like, social media is a time suck. It's always changing. Tomorrow it could be gone. So we need to get rooted in a different place. So today, that's why I really wanted to bring you on to talk about, how do we get rooted in a podcast? What does that look like? How do we get started?
Yeah. So I think it'd be the most powerful if we just went through some live examples, because I'm a visual learner. And I think that this would be the most helpful for you guys versus me talking about tactical stuff. I want you to understand the vision of what that could look like. So let's do 10 minutes each and see what we come up with. Okay. Who wants to start?
Love it.
It'll be super fun.
Someone start. Anybody.
I'm going to pick on y'all. So let's do this. It's going to be fun. I promise.
What do we do? I'm sorry. I know I heard visual, but I didn't. What are we doing?
Brittany's going first. Okay. So
okay.
Brittany, what are you trying to do? Tell me a little bit about the brand you're trying to create and how you're trying to, what is this vision that you're trying to build right now, so that I can give you a visual back of what the podcast could look like for you.
Okay. I am wanting to mentor photographers who want to build a business that supplements their life rather than runs their life. That's not the exact words that I was going with for that one, but it gets the point across. Okay.
And then tell me a little bit about, so you're going to help photographers create a business that supplements their life. Tell me more about that. Yeah. What kind
family photographer?
A family photographer. Okay.
And newborn, family and newborn.
Family and newborn. Is she already a photographer, or she's going to start from scratch?
Brooke has already gotten me a little bit of this way.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. She's been in business 1 or 2 years.
Okay. Good. And so what's unique about Brittany? Tell me a little bit about what you're going to teach her. What are those foundational things that you want to teach her?
Hold on. I got this.
Good. I'm going to ask you guys this stuff, so you can start working on your answers if you want, or just listen.
You see how all the pre-work we've now done, y'all have answers to. That's probably why they're like, let me go dig for my answer.
All right, fine.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I'm not much of a think on the fly kind of gal. So
okay.
I got this though.
And I didn't prep you. I wasn't planning to do this, but this is way more valuable than me just spitting tacticals at you.
Okay. What was your question? I already forgot.
What do you want to teach her? So here's this person, 1 to 2 years, family photographer, newborn photographer. What are you like? How are you going to get her to build a business that supplements her life? Give me some of the tactical things you want to teach her to do.
Oh, okay. Not undercharging for her business.
Good.
Setting up automation.
Yep.
Finding her ideal client and her niche.
Yep.
Hold on, I got more.
Yep.
Better marketing that doesn't necessarily revolve around Instagram. That I want it to be what they want it to be. So if they're like, I don't like Instagram, same thing. I don't want them to have to spend hours on Instagram. So I want it to be other things like SEO, whatever, whatever fits into their lives.
Yeah. Good.
A better client experience. So people are more likely to refer them to other people, more of a connection, make their clients their friends rather than just a client.
Yep.
Let's see. I think that, and just kind of refining their brand messaging.
Good. Are you going to talk about this, since a big piece of you doing this, Brittany, is helping her build it where it supplements her life?
Mm-hmm.
Is this woman also a mom, or what's going on in her life where we can also speak to her identity outside of being a photographer?
Yeah, she's a mom. Can I read what I have for my future website? So that might help. Okay. It says, wait, hold on, back up. Build a thriving family photography business that fits into the life you love to live. Don't throw in the towel yet, mama. Right now, your business and marketing might look like the metaphorical equivalent of confetti on the ground after a birthday session, a bit of a mess. You have a passion for photography. As long as you have the persistence to march on, you can create a thriving business that you can be proud of, and you can do it while working less by embracing system. Oh, that's just talking. Okay, hold on. Your business should be built around the magic of your daily life, not the other way around. And here's the good news. You can. Okay. And then I go on. Yeah. So basically I'm talking to moms who have kids and they're trying to make this their main source of income, or at least supplemental to their family, whatever they want it to be.
Okay. So here's the visual. Okay. So when you go through my stuff, I take you guys through 5 tiers of a brand map. So you have title of the podcast, right? Which preferably is something very SEO friendly. Now you don't have to, but if you notice, Brooke has a podcast called Book More Clients. Like you can't get more clear and specific. And I don't want you guys to worry about like, oh no, we're all photographers starting a photography podcast. It doesn't matter. There are different niches for everyone, and there's different personality types. Somebody that loves Brooke is going to love Brooke. Somebody who loves Brittany is going to love Brittany. So don't ever worry about someone else is in my space. That's great to have people in your space that you guys can collaborate with each other and get ideas. It's there. I promise there are billions of people on this planet. So I just wanted to preface that because we might have similar conversations with each of you. Okay. Now what you want, Brittany, is you have that title that's going to be specific to what or who she is. So it's family photography specific, but she's also a mom. So really think about that. The next step is to have a tagline that's super sticky and clear. And that's the promise of the brand. You said something I really liked in there right at the beginning as you were reading from your website that was like your family photography, blah, blah, around your life, something like along that line, right? And then inside the podcast, you have 3 pillars, pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3. Well, the first thing that you talked about was the tacticals, automation, like you talked about the tacticals of being able to scale her business well, automating in those pieces. Then you talked about marketing and growth, which would be pillar 2. And then pillar 3, I think you should talk about balance in her actual life. How do you balance showing up for sessions while you still have a 3-year-old? Like, what does that look like? How is she going to, because you promised that we can do this around your life. So if that's Brittany's main MO, that's your main promise, you're going to build everything around that. Guess what you didn't say anywhere in here? I'm going to teach you how to edit or style this thing, and which you might do some of that in a Facebook group once in a while, but your podcast is teachable. It's teachable. it's sticky. Like none of this that you mentioned to me has to be visual. And so how amazing and freeing for you to go, okay, let me show up once a week this week, or however fast you guys want to grow. Okay. Twice a week, you're going to grow faster. Once a week is plenty. Podcasting can be so easy. You know, my system that I teach you guys is like scrappy. I teach you how you can just edit while you record at the same time. Like you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on fancy equipment. Like I don't even have a mic plugged in right now. This is how we roll. Okay. And I have a top 0.5% podcast. So permission, right? To just be you. Anyways, so Brittany, you might show up and have episodes around like 3 steps to scale your family photography business in less than 5 hours a week, or the number one reason your clients aren't paying what you ask as a newborn photographer, right? How to do a seasonal refresh marketing campaign for family photographers, how to juggle mom life and family photography and still grow your revenue. These are episode ideas for you where you come in, you have a tactical keyword driven title, but it's all about her and it's all about this business. So first of all, is all of that making sense?
Yeah. I see that you're right, Brooke. She said to tell you about my course, which I forgot. And this is kind of like, I have a newborn course. We just filmed it on Tuesday.
Amazing.
By the way, talking to a camera is my weakness. It was so awful, but we got it. And so I take them through, you know, just a whole newborn session, a lifestyle newborn session, but also I want it to be this part, like how I want there to be parts of it, like how they scale this and, you know, what we just talked about, like bring that into it as well. So I want it to be the technical aspect of it, but also I want it like, how can you use that to make it, I don't know where I was going. I forgot my train of thought there.
I think that needs to be a part of your tagline. That's what I call the promise. And, you know, for example, like scale a family photography or newborn, you guys call it newborn photography, family or newborn photography business around your family.
Okay.
That's like, you want it boring and clear. That's the promise of the brand. And then the title, you could have, you could go multiple. What's the title of your photography business? Is it just your name?
Brittany Photography. Okay. Yeah.
So we don't want that. So you really want to have something like, I love your name.
Thanks.
But okay. But
boring.
want to have something like for the title, something could be like, you know, family and newborn photography made easy, or like family and newborn photographer moms, like so clear. That's how you're going to grow as fast as possible. Now, if you have like something, you can do something cutesy, like, you know, like, what I just thought of Grace and Lace. I know it exists, but
basic and boring works. Yeah. So I have this name that I want to somehow incorporate into like the coaching aspect of it, but it's not very SEO friendly. It's Capture the Chaos, because I mean, if you've ever done a family session, it's chaotic, right? With kids.
Yeah.
So I want that to be in there, but I know it's not SEO friendly.
Okay.
So I just,
where I was just about to go, Brittany, was to say, if you have a title like that, that's a play on words. I love that for a title. And then your tagline, if you guys go look at Brooke's podcast art, we are adding this beautiful sticky little tagline at the bottom, right? And I teach you guys that if you end up taking my course, you'll have all the SEO hacks in there, but you put it on the art and it talks about the what, and it's so clear and it's so clean, so that if you had Capture the Chaos, which I freaking love, then at the bottom, you would just have scale your family or newborn photography business around your life. Something like that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure everybody else has 10 minutes, but this should have gotten your wheel spinning, right?
Yeah.
And then guess where you sell your course?
Where?
On the podcast.
On the podcast.
Yeah, it's super easy, right? Like 2-second example. Are you ready? So like, welcome to the Capture the Chaos podcast. Blah, 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 blah. I know you guys have been wanting to grow your newborn photography business. I know it's on your heart to do this around your family, to actually make real sustainable revenue every single month as a photographer. And you are tired of being burnt out. You want people to pay the prices that you know you deserve. I invite you to come check out Capture the Chaos newborn course, photography course, where I'm going to teach you how to outcome, so that you can stop pain point. Go to blah.com and get started. We're going to get kicked off next Monday. I can't wait. Blah, 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 blah. So you're like actually selling right from the podcast. I sell courses every single day from my show.
Awesome.
Too legit to quit. I love it. Okay, who's next?
I'll go.
Okay, Amanda, let's do it. Okay, so tell me a bit about what you're building.
I'm pretty much only a newborn photographer, newborn and babies.
Okay.
So eventually I want to have, it's all technical, nothing business related as far as, how to run your business, but it's more technical about how to shoot. So the very first course I'm going to do is newborn macros. And I'm going to teach them how to shoot them, why they're important, how to sell them. I get a lot of questions like in photography groups and just in my DMs about my macros. So I think that's a good place to start. It seems to be photographers have a really hard time shooting those.
What is a macro?
Thank you. I was just about to say that. Okay.
It's the close-ups, like if their lips and their toes and their eyelashes. And
does everybody know that if you're a photographer?
Usually if you're a photographer, yes, but
you would know that. Okay.
I also call them detail shots too, because some people, especially parents don't know what macros are.
Okay. So fun. Yeah. I obviously didn't know. I was like, macros, they're already watching their weight. So good. Okay. And what's the name of your brand? Is it your name too?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. It makes it easy if you guys already have a brand name that kind of goes with the newborns that we move into the podcasting space. Okay. Amazing. So similar conversation. When you think about, you're going to have a title, then you're going to have a tagline. Yours is going to be super specific to newborn detail shots and macro. Like that is so niche. I am obsessed with when you're like, I do a specific thing for a specific type of person, and I have the solution for it. In my opinion, and what I've seen from my clients who make really, really big income and impact, they went so small in their niche, like as tiny as you can get. So I think like just pour into that, like the newborn macro detail shot space, get known for that one thing. Your course, that's your one course. We don't need more than one course. We need one. You guys can get to $500,000 in revenue on one product, and you should. I'm telling you, you'll just dilute your brand if you start creating tiny offers and weird things and this and this and this and this and this. Brooke and I both been down that road, and what we've discovered is simplicity is key, because you're constantly marketing. This is the answer. This is the answer. This is the answer, right? Like newborn macros mastery or newborn macros academy, whatever that's going to look like.
Okay.
Now you have to make sure that everyone knows what macros is. The other option is to say, newborn detail shot academy, or like, and I think there's something that I would want to play with this newborn thing. It's like precious. It's like precious moments. They're newborns. You're getting these tiny, beautiful details of who they are. Like, I'd play with that in the title almost.
Okay.
Like,
yeah. My work is very simple anyway. It's not very proppy. I don't do a lot of posing. It's very like baby led. So anything simple works for my brand.
Yeah. Like I thought of new life, like capturing new life, or like moments, new life moments, capturing moments, something. Play with that. Anyways. Okay. So then when you think of a tagline, yours would become something like, create a newborn detail shot, like photography business, right? Or it'd be like, grow your newborn photography niche. Successfully grow your newborn photography niche, something like that. Or create a newborn photography niche with success as a starting place. Okay. And that's like the promise. You guys have to have a promise of this new brand. So then when we look at your buckets, we are 3 little buckets here. What are we teaching? Well, you said the first thing you're teaching is technical tacticals of how to do the macro shots. Amazing. That's pillar 1, right? Mm-hmm. What else is happening here? What else are we going to teach this person so that they can do what Amanda's done?
How to sell them, because a lot of photographers, even the ones that are good at shooting macros, say they give it up because clients don't want them. But I have the total. I mean, I rarely have a client that does not pick a handful of macros inside of their gallery. And a lot of people say, I actually came to you for that reason. Like, I love that.
So
And
unique, so special.
you have to like give them products and things that they can actually visualize in their home, because otherwise they're going to say, well, what am I going to do with that shot?
Yeah. And so, and maybe like one of this component is like, hey, photographer, you are leaving all this money on the table by not having macros in your portfolio. Like, somebody's going to grab any other newborn photographer and get all the cute baby shots in the little bag with a little blanket. Everybody can do that. Well, not everybody, but you know what I mean? You're leaving it off. You're leaving money on the table by not also having the little foot shot, and by not being able to capture the eyelashes and capture, like, that is stuff that we're going to add in to make your photography business premier and unique. That's your selling angle, right? So you're adding in this beautiful thing that they can add to become more of a premier photographer and charge more.
Mm-hmm.
So marketing and sales is bucket number 2. And then, similar to Brittany, who is this person that you want to specifically talk to? Does it have to be a mom? Is it anyone? Is it men? Is it women? Is it both?
Well, it would just be photographers in general, and
Okay.
typically probably not a new photographer, because usually when you start out, you're not going to jump right into, I did, but I'm weird. Most photographers are not going to jump straight into the macro. They're going to try to, figure out like the basics of everything first and then add that. So somebody that's at least been doing it for a little while.
Yeah. Okay. So, maybe you start, I would be super excited if you started with just 2 buckets, like, cause then we're closing in the gap even more. You've got the technicals, all of those pieces. And then you have the marketing and sales is the other piece. Now, for stuff that you guys have that is visual, okay? Cause let's say that Amanda's talking about, all right, so I'm going to talk today about setting your camera, whatever's, to where you're at a closer range to get the eyelashes, for example. I'm going to talk you guys through that today, but I know that you're going to want a visual of this. So what I did is I actually created a quick 5-minute Loom tutorial for you of everything I'm talking about today on the podcast, and it's over in my Facebook community. So now you start to funnel people from your podcast into another space where once in a while, or it can be anywhere, Brittany, it could be Zoom, Loom, anywhere. Yeah, I just, whatever. Loom, Zooms, any of those. So now you're taking people, and let's say once a month, there's a visual tutorial that goes with a podcast episode. Mm-hmm. Now you have a beautiful way to capture leads from the podcast and move them into a group or community, or you could email it. If you're like, I am not doing social at all, I don't want to do a Facebook group. That's where my community is, because Facebook doesn't trigger me at all. I could care less about it, but if it's a trigger for you, don't do it. You can have it in Mighty Networks, or you could just email. Say, are you on my email list? Because I'm emailing the tutorial out for everybody that's subscribed to today's episode. So that's an option for your visual stuff for all of you to hear. And then I just really wish I could give you a good title. I'm going to keep thinking about that though, because I think there's something so special that you could call this podcast that has to do with the moments and these beautiful, unique details, like newborn detail photography. Like, that could be the title. I know that wasn't special, but that came through really clearly. That might be a really fun SEO one. Newborn detail photography, newborn special, and photography, like photography business, or like, you guys have to have that in the title. There's just no, we can't just have it be, now, Brittany's, I loved your capture the chaos, you're fine. But like with the tagline, we have to be so specific. Like, for example, Brooke and I were just working on her tagline, and she had like, book more clients, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, book more photography clients. You guys are so niche. Don't forget to really label this messaging of what you're doing. Okay. And then, and then some example podcast episodes for you, since I gave some to Brittany, would be something like, are you leaving money on the table as a newborn photographer? ? The number one thing you need to add to double your revenue. What's the number one thing I'm going to add? You're going to add macros, right? And then, what are macros inside of newborn photography? That is an episode. Versus the top 2 macro shots that every new parent wants. That one. 2 camera settings to transform your newborn photography sessions. See how this is just super simple. Like you're just going to
Yeah.
pull these. And I have so much of this in the course. If you guys decide to do that, you'll have over 30 to 50 episodes walking out of that course. Okay.
Yes. And Amanda, the only tip I had for you that might help with your podcast title is go find 3 established newborn photographers that you know and go ask them a couple of like market research questions and ask them, what are you Googling? What are you searching for? When you were learning how to do macros, Brittany is probably someone you should ask. Remember, she said she's going to be your first student in your new course. So ask them like, what did you type into Google? What are you typing into YouTube? And then see if we can't fit, you want their language. And that's something Steph's going to teach you if you guys take any of her programs. And by the way, if you're loving this, imagine what you would get out of all the videos she has inside her course and her student community and all those things. But okay, I just wanted to add that little fun homework assignment for Amanda.
Amanda, can I just tell you something? A few weeks or months ago, I went on YouTube to Google like how to do macro photography, and like the only thing that popped up was someone, and like one of the first things she says is, "I'm not very good at macros." I'm like, "Your title is about macro photography, and you're not good at it. I don't want this." So, anyways, I think that you can like sweep the photography community. There's nothing.
I haven't been able to
John
find
Potter
much at all anywhere. I think there was one course on the Milky Way like 3 or 4 years ago from Kristen Cook, and that's it.
Wow.
There's one I think this year from Don Potter, but
I think you're right.
And that's literally all. And then people who think they don't know, like,
and again, like, don't worry about like, oh, someone put the thing out. Like, great. You know, how many people have a podcasting course? Thousands. I don't really know. And I don't really care. Cause it's like, you either want to do it this way and you like Steph, or you want to do it Pat Flynn's way and you like him, right? And you want to do it Amanda's way, or you want to go do it that girl's way. So I love that. And what Brittany just said, I want you to pay attention to, Amanda. She said, I went to YouTube and I typed in how to do macro photography. So take that exact phrase and that becomes podcast episode number 2, right? Like you want to use the verbiage of what your people are searching for. That's super key for SEO. And even like the newborn macro photography podcast, like I know it's just so blatant, but like it will blow up because number one, if there's not one there, you literally have 0 competition right now. And you can change the name later to something floofy when you hit 500,000 downloads.
Okay.
But that'll help you gain a ton of traction really fast.
Okay. I like this because I really thought that YouTube was probably where I should go. And I created a YouTube channel this last week, but because it's so visual, you know, I thought, what can I keep talking about? Like once you go over it, but you're giving me a lot of ideas. So I think I may do both.
Well, and I was going to say, you know, YouTube isn't bad. It's just really slow. So it's a lot more work. So if you guys wanted, you know, I have a YouTube channel that it's there, and where I host my podcast, which I show you guys in the course, if you want to do this, it actually auto shares my audio to YouTube for me. So that's one option. Option 2 is when you record a podcast episode, you turn on the video, right? So we're in Zoom right now, video is on. Let's say we wanted to post this to YouTube, just unedited, just to be there for SEO purposes. Share that to YouTube, take my audio clip, upload it to my podcast. I've repurposed one piece of content in 2 places. I don't love that because I don't think that you can marry 2 people. I think that's going to get real awkward. So preferably, Brittany's like, not sure. That might be interesting. No, like
I've been married to the same man for 28 years. I might need another husband.
You might need one. So you could try it, but I think with the idea of I'm trying it to marry the one. I actually repurposing while it's okay. Oh, a baby. While it's okay. It's actually not preferable. Like all of my marketing basket, my marketing eggs are in my podcasting basket because I own it. I own that content. Nobody can steal it from me. You know, Apple Podcast wants to die. Cool. I still own 430 episodes. And I can go and put those, I can make them into a book. I can make them into anything I wanted. They're all transcribed. They're a blog. It's my content and you can do anything you want with it. And so it's super powerful to marry the one long form platform that you really want to pour into, but it's okay to try both and then just see which one you like better.
Okay.
Good. All right. You feeling good?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Okay, Marina, let's do it. Tell me a bit about your vision and what you're creating.
I'm like,
I talked to Brooke just a couple days ago and I was like, I'm like having like an identity crisis. So I don't know.
Totally
Like I
normal.
do and I don't. So basically I'll just read off what I've been like writing. I told her, I don't know if it's just like right now, also because of where I am in my cycle, if I'm like just not super motivated and that's why, but I don't know, we'll see. So basically my whole thing is going to be just one-on-one mentorships with photographers that like they already know their camera, they know their settings, they're good, but they want to build a sustainable business. Maybe they want to go full time and they haven't figured out how to do that. And it's kind of the same thing that everybody has been saying. It's, you know, the mom that wants to also be a photographer and bring in that supplemental income, or I don't know, like full, like blown income, but doesn't really know how to like keep that balance or how to make that work. So a lot of it's a lot of more like the foundation of it, of like, okay, who are you as a photographer? Who are you trying to speak to? Who's your ideal client, and how can we get them to want to work with you? How can they find you? So like them finding their niche, their ideal client, how to communicate with their ideal client, and how to be able to just say no to everything else and just leave everything else on the table. I just because I know that for me, I always thought that I had to do everything under the sun to be successful. And I've found ever since niching to just family photography, I'm doing way better, not just like in my business, but mentally, emotionally. So yeah, that's kind of.
One's like, I love weddings in here. Marina,
Yeah.
so how do you feel about being the girl that helps people start a family photography business? Start a sustainable photography business? Like, you know, tell me what your thoughts are there first.
Yeah. So initially why why my target audience, I guess you could say, is not a beginner photographer or somebody that's barely starting, is because it's harder for them to, because I know I was there, like it was harder for me to drop a lot of money to start off when I wasn't making any money. It was hard to justify that investment when I wasn't booking anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that was why I didn't like go that route initially. But I don't know if it changes with podcasting or if that makes a difference.
You know, people that want to start a family photography business, let me see what Brooke said here. Part-time who wants to go.
Yeah.
Okay. And so imagine if your podcast could be called, Marina, Full-Time Family Photographer.
Mm-hmm.
Full-time family photographer. And you're just going, hi, are you a part-time family photographer who's not really where you want to be? Let's go full-time. Like, what if that's the promise that Marina starts with? And I will tell you that like an identity crisis in your business is going to be years long. Like no one is like, this is the outcome and I'm making it. Like we start with a direction. We start with a prompting. And so we start. Now, if you don't start, then you're never going to get the clarity to know where you should be. Like I've been 10 years a full-time entrepreneur. 10 years. And finally today I'm like, I know what I do. This is great. You know, it was so long and there's been like ups and downs and failures and rebrands and failed courses and everything in between. But I'm like, if I didn't go in the way that I should go, I would never discover the destination that God was calling me to be at, you know? And so bye, Amanda. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I'm glad we did you second. See you later. So Marina, I think if you start there, you're going to start there and then you're going to see how does this feel? What does this woman actually doing in these one-on-one calls? What is the problem? Why isn't she full-time? And that's going to bring so much more clarity to you around what the niche actually is. And maybe it just simply is that, go full time as a family photographer, but maybe you discover even more clarity, and you will after you begin. So your podcast is, let's say full-time family photographer, or photography business probably would be better. Hi, baby. And then my babies are getting so old now. I'm like, look at the real baby. It's a real one. So that would be something like that. And then for your tagline, it could be something super specific and so clear, right? Like how to go from part-time to full-time in your family photography business. End of story, right? So clear, so specific. And then your three buckets would be what gets someone from part-time to full-time? One is sales and marketing, probably, right? What else?
Yeah, I think what I kind of have been kind of writing down, and what I want to focus on is that, like, finding that niche and finding the, like, what is that one session that just lights your soul on fire, and you would do, even if, like, you would do it for free regardless of, anything. Like, that's, you wouldn't care, you would have so much fun, and you wouldn't care about the money necessarily. So that's definitely one. And just being, I guess another one, I guess, is it's a lot of like mindset is what I've been kind of realizing, a lot of mindset, and the confidence to market yourself as just that, the confidence to even just when you talk to family and friends, and just being able to say, yeah, I'm a photographer, like that's what I do, and being able to talk about that with people that you come across, but also people online, on social media, on your website, on whatever. I lost my train of thought. But
so the three buckets that you just mentioned, one is the niche. So really getting super clear on niche, which has so many fun things underneath it, avatar and your messaging and all your, like, what's your niche going to be? Then you had sales and marketing, right? And then the third one was mindset for you. So that the confidence mindset, the mindset of being a full-time photographer, the mindset of charging what you deserve to get, all those pieces. So those are three little buckets that you could start with on a podcast, for example. And then what do you sell on the show? The coaching. So you're like, hi friend, are you a part-time photographer who's trying to scale and go full-time in your family photography business? I have 5 sessions open for May where I can sit with you and help you define your niche, a marketing and sales plan, and help you transform your mindset to go from part-time revenue to full-time photography income. Imagine what that would feel like when you finally transform your business from playing to profitable. Book here, email me here, right? Like that's it. Like we just pitch right on the podcast to sell your coaching spots.
cool.
How's that
I
feeling?
like that. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And so when you think of your content, think about, just remember, you guys, as you're creating content for your podcast, you're talking, Marina, to someone who they're already part-time. They have a few clients, right? And you want to take them from part-time, and they're only a family photographer, stay in your niche and go full-time. So as you sit there and you think of content, I want you to think about what are all the excuses they're telling themselves about why they can't do it. Every one of those excuses becomes a podcast episode, right? Like, do I really have time to become a full-time family photographer? That's an excuse that they have. Or where to find clients to go full-time in your family photography business? 3 places to find more clients as a family photographer. So these are like, oh, I can't find clients. Oh, I don't have time, right? Then on the other spectrum, you want to think about all the things they want. Why do they want to be full-time? So you're going to talk about money. You're going to talk about what that would look like. You're going to talk about getting known in your niche as a family photographer. Those are all episodes that you can do that take someone from like, I'm over here and this is probably all I'm going to be, to like, oh, he's painting potential for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Cause I feel like that's always what I hear. Cause I have people, sending me messages and being like, how did you do it? Or, what would you recommend? Or do you do mentorships and stuff like that? And that's always the thing. It's, I want to do this full time, but I can't quit my job,
There,
or I
right? That's
can't,
another episode. Right there.
Yeah.
So you just said another episode. I want to be a full-time photographer, but I can't quit my job. 3 truths or 3 steps to change that. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love this.
Good. Yay.
This is so fun.
Yeah.
I love
I'm
it.
like, this is way more valuable, right, Brooke, than like tactically go to here and click the thing.
I'm like, yeah,
Vision.
so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody saw the vision. And I'll be the first to tell y'all, I don't want to be biased on what you guys choose. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I would choose podcasting every day over YouTube. I don't have time for that crap, like I want to, but until I have $1 million business and I can hire somebody to come down and we batch do a YouTube channel, I'm not going to. I can't.
Sure.
It sounds
For
great.
sure.
It's very expensive. It's very time consuming. And all of us right now, everybody's like, we're a mom and we want more time to be with them. And I'm just telling you, like, that's why podcasting for me like works. And I have never quit. I've never missed an episode. 2019, I've never missed an episode. I took a 2-week break in one of the Decembers and that was it. But I've never missed an episode. Like, that's how life's been crazy, but I've always been consistent.
And it's fun. Like, you'll realize it's so much easier than you think. I bullet out some notes on a piece of paper based on my podcast planning sheet, which I give you guys. And so my course is called Podcast Pro University. If you want help to do this, I would definitely recommend it because it takes you how to grow way faster. It's got SEO, the marketing, the recording, the editing, the launch, how to get featured on other shows, what equipment that you need. I link you up with my student community of other podcasters so that you guys can leave each other reviews and you can do guest swaps on their shows. And it's just so good. I want to get you guys ranked on the charts as fast as possible. So that's what's inside my course. It's super affordable. So Brooke's link is in there. And so use that link if you guys want to buy that course. And then I do live Q&A every month in my group too. So if you're like, I have more questions, you can come put your questions in. And then I go live in the group and answer questions every month to give you that support and accountability. So there's all of that. And then what was that? Oh, so the whole point of doing this is to make it easier. So I give you guys this podcast planning sheet that helps you have so many ideas, teaches you how to infuse SEO, teaches you how to get seen and found in Apple Podcasts. And then you basically show up once a week at a minimum, 2 if you want. You sit behind your microphone. Marina, sometimes my kids are like right in the room or in the hallway because I can click pause and then I can deal with the thing and come back and click unpause and keep recording. Like you can podcast at any time. It's not hard. And I teach you how to like kind of structure an episode where, what do we do in an episode and how long should they be? And then where do I sell in the episode and how do I sell? That's all in there as well. And then it's just so much easier than you think to do this than social. And you're just freed from that. And you sell straight from the show direct to consumer. It's like the best thing ever. So anyway, I'm excited. I hope you guys do Podcast Pro U so I can keep hanging out with you because this was really fun. And, if you look at Brooke, that's an indication of what can happen in your business in a very short period of time when you marry the thing and you commit to it. And you lay down all the rest of the distraction and you decide like, this is going to be the way that I'm going to do this. And there's fruit on the other side of that.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing too, just from like a logical side, because y'all all know I'm very logical and into the numbers. If you look at all the other platforms, a lot of them are like diminishing, right? Like it's so busy, but the algorithm, like you're getting no reach. And then my podcast, here's the coolest thing ever. People, when you have one episode, people naturally want to hear more. It's not like, oh, that was a cool post. Let me keep scrolling and I'm going to get distracted. I'm listening. And I would tell you, I'm working with Steph right now for the next 3 months on my podcast to make it even better. And I'm meeting a lot of new podcasters and I'm starting to binge their episodes. So it's not like I listen to one and now I'm on to the next. I'm binging everything they're saying and I feel like I know them, right? And then I'm more naturally going to be drawn to want to work with them, buy their courses, do all their things, And so the cool thing is when you look at my podcast stats, it's not like, oh, wow, we're dropping off. It's like if you look at all of the numbers, it's even. It's like, 2,000 downloads on this one. And then the next week it's another 2,000. And then we're growing. Like, it's just the coolest thing ever. And there's no algorithm I'm fighting. It's either you love my podcast and you listen every week, or you don't, or you binge it on a weekend, decluttering your house, which is what I'm doing. So anyway, and I just love it because you can literally, like, data doesn't lie, and I don't have to strive. Like, you guys even come to me, hey, I just listened to your episode that you did back in 2020, right? And I'm like, oh, that's cool, even though I'm cringing and I hate that episode and I want to redo it. But that is so cool. Like, everything lives on. Whereas no one's going to go scroll your social media to look back at 2018 Brittany and say, oh, what was she talking about in 2018? Right? Yeah.
No, intimacy. Yeah. Podcasting is 100% intimacy. So immediately you're like, ooh, connection with her. That's my person.
I have a question about an idea that I had. I know we're almost done, so I'll try to go really fast. But so I had this like idea for a podcast that maybe I could like incorporate it somehow. That I would like to chat with another photographer, kind of like not like Brooke is doing, where you're mentoring, but just like talking about what our, like what we experience, and so you don't feel so alone. Does that make sense? And then would that be like completely out of niche?
No, I love that. Absolutely. Okay. Now, preferably remember that anytime you say anything on your podcast, it's about the promise that you made to the listener. Mm-hmm. So Brittany's promise was grow your family photography or newborn business, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Right. So you want a wedding.
So it would be, how do you balance your life as a photographer?
Right. Okay. Right now, if you have someone that's not in the right niche, ask yourself, how does this go with the balance segment? Right. Or if it is somebody in the newborn space, like you would have Amanda on to talk about macros, because that's not something that you teach, but it adds value. And then she newborn photography, you on about family photography or whatever. So totally obsessed. Love that.
Okay. Great. Yay. Thank you.
Okay. Steph, we're all obsessed. I'm pretty sure you're going to have some new PPU students this year for sure. So I'm excited about that. And then you guys get to come on my podcast because you fit my niche, and there we go. And so it works out great. But anyway, so thank you so much for your time. This was really fun to listen to and just kind of watch you chat with each person. I know Jayla's going to be so upset she didn't get that 10 minutes of coaching, but Jayla, we love you. Watch the replay, join PPU, and come ask Steph your questions. So awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all for being here. Next Friday.
I'm already buying it.
Next Friday is our last.
Ready.
Yay.
I'll be there, but
next Friday is our last meetup. And so it's just going to be open for y'all. It's kind of like your little graduation celebration. So bring me all the questions that you have. And like I said, you're never going to be fully done with this process, but hopefully by now you've got all these little fun pieces put together for what you're going to start selling and get a podcast going. You will sell quicker that way, I promise. So, all right. Thank you so much. I will talk to you all later. And again, thank you so much, Steph. See ya.
Welcome. Bye, ladies.
Bye.